At a certain time frame, Israel Adesanya looked unbeatable. An athlete who acted with confidence and precision in the Octagon, confusing his opponents in his wake. His introduction was rapid, his style contagious, and his perspective looked to be invulnerable. Yet in recent times, there's a growing sense among fans, analysts, and even casual observers that there's something that feels improper about Israel Adesanya.
This can also be the beginning of the end for Israel Adesanya. Maybe he's just not the same Israel Adesanya anymore, right? We don't know that till probably this fight.
Is the end near for Israel? The former unflappable UFC middleweight kingpin looks different now. More susceptible, less sure, and potentially more aloof. Is there a decline in his brilliance? Or is there something else happening beneath the surface? We're gonna dive right in and delve closer into one of the most appealing figures in MMA. To gain a grasp of what's happening with Israel Adesanya, we have to first know the person. Hailing from Lagos, Nigeria, Adesanya moved to New Zealand along with his family as a little child, having spent his childhood in an international environment among a rich cultural diversity influenced his special view of the world. From the beginning of his life, Adesanya showed great passion for anime, martial arts, and the unusual manner in which he spoke.
To break down what a feint is a movement used to deceive your opponent. It's used to deceive your opponent so they don't know when you're about to attack. What I like to use it for is to scramble the person's brain. When you attack the driver, the vehicle's useless. It's just a vessel. Because most guys just go in the UFC, all these fight of the night guys go in and just jab, chew, right kick. That gets predictable.
His nature effortlessly integrated into the field of combat sports. Due to his great height, polished movements, and skillful striking, Adesanya first turned to kickboxing as a martial art, which helped him win a variety of bouts. At the time he focused on mixed martial arts or MMA in 2012, he'd already developed a reputation in kickboxing and fought at its top levels. No style similar to Adesanya's, an integration of standard martial arts with street fighting, had previously appeared in the UFC. His naturalness, along with his assurance and poise, helped him rapidly draw in the fans. Nonetheless, it was his excellence in the Octagon that, more than his charisma, differentiated him from the crowd. Every time he fought, Adesanya appeared to break through his competitors as though they were mere challengers, successfully outlanding them. His striking was sharp, his defense flawless, and his psyche was stable, or it looked that way. Starting in 2018, Adesanya made his debut in the UFC, showing right away that he was an immense talent. During his trek to the title, his pace was quick and transparent, convincing top players in the middleweight division like Derek Brunson and Anderson Silva. In 2019, the incredible title fight against Kelvin Gastelum clinched Whittaker in the interim UFC middleweight championship, a contest many viewers think is one of the best title matches ever in the UFC.
Referee Mark Goddard has called a stop to this contest at 3 minutes, 33 seconds of round number 2. Declaring the winner by knockout, and now the undisputed UFC middleweight champion of the world.
That year, Adesanya went on to beat Robert Whittaker to secure the title as undisputed middleweight champion alongside the belts. This victory was far more than an extra title, it became a statement. Here was the last stylebender, completely occupied with the idea of reigning for a significant period. Not only was Adesanya a champion, but his striking was striking. He was a global superstar with impeccable fight IQ and infectious charisma. But the momentous success brings along loads of pressure. And for a guy who's been his own strongest critic for so long, the expectations continue to grow. According to popular opinion, it's not the victories that make a fighter, it's their ability to overcome defeat. The moment Adesanya had been waiting for in 2021 was when he moved to light heavyweight and took on Jan Blachowicz for the 205-pound title. The war didn't unfold as we had hoped. In their contest, Blachowicz's comprehensive physical strengths were more clear than Adesanya's quickness and accord. The first loss ever in his UFC career happened to Adesanya. A lot of people attributed the loss to a not successful experiment with weight classes. After everything, Adesanya progressed up in weight without accumulating much weight, while Blachowicz was a genuine light heavyweight who showed up heavier for the match. After Adesanya made his comeback to middleweight, something still seemed off. His untouchable charm looked slightly less than it once was. Was this just an intermittent slip, or are the weighted expectations now beginning to impact him? Being successful, especially the highest point in athletics, entails considerable strain. For Adesanya, that burden was twofold: the requirement to keep his leadership position and the constant oversight of fans, the media, and the MMA community.
Because one time after I first left that job and I was like, finally I can kind of like just live the life I wanted, he's like, hey, people actually provide for their families doing that and this and that. He kind of schooled me on that. And I was like, you know what? There's nobility in that. If you do that, and you provide for your family, and that's your passion, and you do something to make it happen for them. Someone who comes from where I come from, in a lower income like neighborhood from Nigeria, that's their dream. They would fucking kill to make the money I was making back then. They would kill to be living the way I was living back then. So it was perspective. So when I woke up this morning and I did the bike ride, went in the ocean, had a coffee, it's one of those moments I like, because I've never been to Puerto Rico, I kind of just sit back and just go like, yeah, gratitude.
If you start your day with that, you can't have a bad day.
Every day.
Like every single day, if you wake up just happy to be where you're at, like it's hard to go wrong from there.
Saw this on TikTok.
Adesanya's success is no surprise. He loves having confidence. His special style is mostly reliant on his skill to manage pressure, render quick decisions, and think ahead of his competition. What takes place when that confidence starts to be uncertain? The change in Adesanya's fighting style came after the loss to Blachowicz, as he stayed technically amazing. The fierce and showy contender that fans admired looked more guarded. The method of combat adopted by Adesanya shifted toward greater discipline, and there were occasions when it seemed he was fighting not to lose instead of for victory. Was the caution that resulted from this a consequence of the Blachowicz loss? Or was there a richer situation happening, something external to the cage that was impacting his performances? In 2022, Adesanya faced an old nemesis, Alex Pereira. For anyone who doesn't know, Pereira has triumphed over Adesanya in kickboxing on 2 occasions, including a knockout loss. The psychological pull of this victory was easy to feel. Adesanya saw that Pereira was more than another contender. He also brought to light his history of missteps.
And the winner by TKO and UFC undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Alex Pereira!
The opposition against Pereira involved both a mental and physical challenge. Adesanya handled the fight securely, clearly recognizing Pereira's ability to knock him out. At the final tally, history repeated itself. Pereira knocked out Adesanya in the last rounds, winning the middleweight title and eroding Adesanya's reputation of being unbeatable once more. Still, this is where it all gets really interesting. Uncertain of the future, Adesanya did not sink from view. He wanted another shot, so in 2023 he clashed with Pereira a second time. Adesanya fought this time with a new sense of purpose, achieving a clean knockout to take back his title. The result was a sweet one, but for a lot of fans it appeared to be just a temporary solution to a larger problem. Did Adesanya banish his demons, or is this just an interim revival? A shocking loss to Sean Strickland was Adesanya's most recent challenge, with many soccer fans thinking that Strickland was not of Adesanya's caliber. The frustrating nature of Strickland's focused assaults and endurance of punishment played a part in a unanimous judgment for Strickland. Yet, what attracted attention was not just the loss, but how Adesanya looked during the brawl. This was the first time during his career that Adesanya seemed doubtful, lacking confidence, and appeared largely to himself. Where did the energetic fighter, who with confidence was able to outplay his opponents, go? Is there a chance that Adesanya is still working through the mental impact of his earlier losses? Or maybe even more concerning, had he simply ceased to have passion for the sport?
Learning from therapy, from my own experiences, talking to myself, the self-talk, because we all have negative self-talk, but looking in the mirror and talking to yourself. speaking to yourself like you would to someone you're giving advice to. Because when you look in the mirror, you humanize yourself. And I'll start to just have a conversation with myself, even like G myself up if I want to big myself up, things like that. So that's a tool that I feel like is really underrated. And it looks crazy, standing in front of the mirror and talking to yourself, but it's a really powerful tool if you know how to use it right.
This result for Strickland has left fans questioning more than they have answers. Were the results discovered by chance, or are we witnessing the early signs of an extended drop? Is Adesanya genuinely now lacking confidence, or is there still a spark of passion waiting to flare up? In the wake of these losses, Adesanya has discussed his mental health more frankly. He's owned up to feeling the strain of expectations, the worry that follows being number one, and the internal fights he navigates outside the cage. An insignificant number of enthusiasts were aware of this dimension of Adesanya, someone who shares his experiences while thinking about the ties between fame, success, and personal growth. In combat sports, the majority interprets it as a reflection of actual physical force, although the mental part plays a significant role. Using the mental game as leverage has granted Adesanya power. Yet, while he is continuously fighting on the inside and the outside of the octagon, it's obvious that the duress is starting to tell. Adesanya is dealing with a challenge, brought on either by the anxiety of not meeting his legendary status, or the unrelenting scrutiny by fans and critics alike that he has never met before. Well, what's in store for Israel Adesanya? Will he bounce back to form as he did after his opening round defeat of Pereira? Or is this the prelude to the decline of one of the most entertaining UFC stars? One thing is for sure, the story of Israel Adesanya is a long one, and the world has not seen the best of him yet. The unvulnerable man is now in a dilemma. Will he be capable of fully recovering his self-esteem and becoming the dominating man he was once more? It's a question that only Adesanya can answer, but one thing is certain, this will be something that fans will watch out for. This is the move that would solidify its style for the last stylebender, and the world is still waiting for that moment that it could again pull off a spectacular victory. In the course of following the career of Israel Adesanya, fans mostly observe wins, losses, and flamboyant fights. But it's become even more questionable now than ever before, with the feeling that there is something wrong somewhere. Is he hiding a secret? Cage reveals that the fighter who tied the world in it now resides in the toughest fight of his life yet. In the UFC, where many of the fighters have their living at the outcome of every single bout, the future of Adesanya is shrouded in controversy. Will he come back from this current low and prove to the world that he is a one-time phenomenon? Is he just buried with fame and pressure, or is it the darkness in him and the fight against it that finally took the better part of him? What do you think? Is Israel Adesanya no longer as exciting as he used to be, or is this what it boils down to when a fighter is set to be a legend again? Use the comment section below to leave your thoughts.